Viriya Sambojjhanga, Piti Sambojjhanga, Passaddhi Sambojjhanga, Daliri, Michimeche Yogi Mianale Nola, Saruja Letri, Osabi, Shilin. Tamalu Bada Piazua, Nale Huri, Lovida body, Tusitema, Amalu Army of Shindilu.
In the past few days, Sayadaw has spoken about Viriya Sambojjhanga, Piti Sambojjhanga, and Passaddhi Sambojjhanga in a way that was neither too brief nor too elaborate from both a theoretical and practical standpoint so that the yogis could understand. But the translator was not satisfied with her translation. And if there is confusion about the things that were said in the translation, then that is not good for the audience. So today, Sayadaw will summarize how Viriya Sambojjhanga occurs, and from that, how Piti Sambojjhanga occurs, and from there, how Passaddhi Sambojjhanga occurs. In the Buddhist text, it is said, there's the word kusita, which describes action or behavior which occurs in a disgusting manner, despicable manner. Someone who is kusita is not active or alert, but cold and sluggish. And whether it's working for one's own living, for one's education, anything for oneself, they don't exert the energy to do this. And thus, they're even less likely to do so for others. And as now, in the work that makes one's life better, a person who is kusita is not able to dispel thick laziness. And if thick laziness is not dispelled, then a kusala will be what happens. Unwholesomeness will happen most of the time. And based on that, one will make mistakes. One will do wrong things. And one will not be able to keep oneself clean. And so it was said, as Sayadaw said in the Pali, that one who is lazy, one develops akusala, not kusala. So because one develops laziness is what lets in all akusalas. So one is not able to, one develops commits behavior that is blameworthy, not behavior that is blameless. And thus one is not able to keep oneself pure and clean. One is not able to conduct oneself in a pure and clean manner. So, if in the world too this is true, that if one does not apply viriya, then that whether it's in the area of getting an education or making a living or in anything that the person does, if the person doesn't exercise effort, the person will be low status. For people who have learned about patience and learned about how to make effort from their parents, such people make effort. And they apply effort, not just once, but time and again. And yogis too work in this way. So this is called Arada Viriya, or this person is, this type of effort, this Arada Viriya, is effort that has been developed, first of all, the initial stage, making the beginning effort, and from there, boosting up one's effort to overcome laziness, and from there, developing effort that goes up stage by stage till it reaches the goal. So this type of effort is called Arada Viriya, and one who possesses it is called Arada Viryo. This type of effort is also called Pagahita Viriya. This word literally means that it is effort that does not stagnate. This effort always lifts up until it reaches the max. So finally, what occurs is paripurna virya, or fulfilled effort. And when this occurs, it occurs in a special way and makes a huge difference in one's life. So it is said that one who develops this type of effort, Arada Virya, dispels unwholesomeness and develops wholesomeness. They dispel the blameworthy behavior, and they develop blameless, pure behavior. And they are able to conduct themselves so that they are wholesome and clean. So this matches this matches the life of a yogi, what the yogis do. And this is the essence of Viriya. This Viriya, without any control, well, it may happen, but sometimes there will be excessive Viriya, and then one will miss the object. And without any type of control, then sometimes laziness will come in, and the mind won't reach the object. So to make our effort just right, we need to have a jhanic factor. Jhana is to focus on the object when we observe. So the jhanic factors must be present. Jhana is made up of 5 or 6 factors. And the first is vitakka, which is the factor of aiming. The second is vichara, which is translated as rubbing against the object. And it's also translated in another way, but it's really got the nature of rubbing, contacting the object and rubbing it. Third is piti, joyous interest. And fourth is sukha, peacefulness, feeling good, happy peacefulness. And fifth, upekkha. In the higher state jhanas, is upekkha, or equanimity, replaces piti and sukha. So there are these 5 jhanic factors. And at the start, there must be vitakka and vichara. It said savitakka, savichara. So these 2 factors must be there at the start. So this means that when we make the effort to push the mind to the object, we also need to aim. So it's aiming that makes our focus accurate. And with this quality, we will be able to hit the target, and we will be able to hit the bullseye. So when we hit the target, that is called vichara. That is when the mind rubs against the object. And if our aim is accurate and our effort is there, and we hit the mind, hits and rubs against the object, then there will be joy. And because of joy, there will be a good feeling, peaceful happiness, and then the mind will become stable. So this is just in worldly terms, this is what happens. But when the yogis starting with the rising and falling, they observe every arising object. They apply effort so that the mind will stick to the object. And they apply aim so that the effort will be just right. And when one gains practice at doing this, then one hits the object directly. One meets up with the object exactly. And then when one observes rising, one's mind falls on a quality such as stiffness, and one knows that quality, that stiffness. If one's mind falls on something like tension, then one knows that tension. If the mind falls on movement, one knows movement. And for other objects, it's the same way. So when to make one's observation effective is the yogi's job, to make this the mind hit against the object exactly. So, but it just involves doing two things. One has to apply effort, and one has to aim the mind. So just those two things are the yogi's job. Later on, what occurs is the mind hits the object exactly, joy arises, and there's happiness. But these come, and stability, but these come automatically. They don't have to be, we don't do anything deliberately to make those, they just follow. So Sayadaw said this before, but so that the translator will understand, he's saying it again. So a person who applies the effort to get the mind to the arising object every time has no slackness. This disgusting behavior described by Kusita does not arise. Kosajja is the behavior that causes one to be called kusita. So it means that when one has this quality of kosajja, then other people, they become cursed by others. Other people swear at them by saying, that person is a real lazy bones. So kosajja is the quality the person, a kusita person, has. So this Viriya effort is very good. And to the extent that one applies Viriya, there won't be any lobha, any greed arising. So at that time one is free of fault. There will be no hatred, resentment, bearing grudges, these qualities of dosa. Those will not arise. There will be no restlessness, no scattered mind, no remorse, and there will be no wavering or doubt of vicikiccha. So when Viriya has the help of vitakka, or aiming, the mind meets exactly with the object, and it doesn't go anywhere else. It doesn't lean off towards objects of sense desires. It won't go to I can't read this. So basically it won't go off of the object because Viriya has the help of vitakka. So it won't go to thoughts of sense desires. It won't also go to thoughts of harming others. And every second that this happens, this mecha vitakka, which could be translated as having an erroneous objective directing the mind in the wrong way. This mecha vitaka is not allowed to happen. Instead, the mind is made to have a straightforward objective. And so when the mind becomes straight, then the mind rubs against the object. It meets with it exactly and rubs against the object. So when we start out by observing the rising and the falling, the first time we observe the rising, the mind doesn't rub against the object. When we observe the falling, the mind doesn't rub against the object. But as long as the mind does not go anywhere else, that's good. In time, the mind begins to rub against the object. One goes past the form of the object, the shape. One goes past the manner, whether it's rising or falling, expanded or collapsed. And the mind then connects with the qualities that are really there, whether it's stiffness or tension or tightness or movement. So when the mind meets up with these qualities exactly and knows them, then the yogi knows what he or she has observed. So vitaka is what keeps the mind from going elsewhere, and its accurate aim. And vichara is what is the quality of rubbing against the object. And these qualities make the mind definite about what it comes to know. So a person who is practicing respectfully and meticulously, who cherishes and values the benefit of satipatthana, every second of the time such a person is trying to observe what arises. And this is a true yogi, because this person is applying effort, first of all, initial effort, and then from there, boosted up effort, and from there, an effort that increases stage by stage without letting up until one reaches the goal. Panchime nivarane pahine atani samanupasato describes this yogi. The 5 nivarnas would arise if one didn't observe. But the yogi sees that these nivaranas, which disturb the mind, have been dispelled from his or her being. They see this very well. This is because of the good noting. So when the 5 nivaranas have been dispelled, the person sees this, and then pamaujang jayati. Joy arises, joyous interest. Pamauja means joy that is weak. It's not the strong form. So one feels things such as goose flesh, or like a lightning flashes through one, pushing one's body up. And the yogi, when they experience things like this, they feel joy. So this is because vitaka and vichara are present. So when our noting is effective, then joy arises. And because of joy, then happiness, sukha, arises. And at the higher stages, especially at the stage of udiyabbiya jnana, the joy that one experiences, the piti, is strong. The body feels like it's floating up in the air, or like it's filled with air like a balloon. And there can also be the feeling of joy that spreads throughout every cell in one's body. This is strong joy. So this joy brings happiness, a feeling of comfort, and then the mind becomes especially calm. So at that time, the 5 factors of Vipassana jhana are present. Sorry, I'm not through with this yet. I'm sorry, yogis who note in this way, according to the saying, note at every arising, always guard the mind. So yogis who apply effort and aiming to always observe the mind, protect the mind with vigilant mindfulness, when their noting becomes effective so that the mind meets the object exactly, then there's satisfaction with what they're doing. And then there will be first weak joy and then strong joy. So that is why it is said, Panchime nivarane pahine atani samanupasato pamaljam jayati. When the person feels, when they see that the 5 nivaranas have been dispelled in themselves, then this minor type of joy arises. And because the mind is free of disturbances, the piti becomes strong. Pamudita sa piti jayati. The weak joy leads to strong joy, especially at the stage of udiyabhya jnana. People who have good sila, even before knowledge arises, can experience this type of strong joy. For people who just live in a haphazard way, they won't experience this type of joy that the people who have good sila do. Or what they experience is regret about what they've done, this and that wrong thing. Piti manasa kayopasambati. The body of the person who has a joyous mind becomes tranquil, peaceful and cool. Pasadakayo sukhang vedeti. And this tranquility of body and mind leads to sukha. When the person who has a tranquil body experiences comfort or sukha. Sukhino cetang samadhiyati. The mind of one who experiences sukha becomes stable, becomes collected. So this is how it happens for a yogi who is respectful in the practice. And however, this is the path of practice. This is how things develop. So examine yourself and compare. If this has not occurred in you, then you have to search out the cause. It is because of not being free of nivaranas. If this type of joy and happiness, stability has not yet arisen, it is because the nivaranas have not been dispelled. One can come to that conclusion. So when one is happy with one's work and then feels tranquil, stability follows. Sukhino cittang samadhiyati. The mind of the one who is happy becomes stable. And when the mind is stable, it is said samahito yatha buddhang pajanati. The one whose mind has become stabilized sees things as they are. The person who observes time and again, one after another, who has strong momentary concentration or kanika samadhi, knows things as they are, as they really are. When the mind falls on stiffness, the yogi knows stiffness. When the mind falls on tension, the yogi knows tension. When the mind falls on movement, the yogi knows movement. When the mind falls on aching, the yogi knows aching. When the mind falls on pain, the yogi knows pain, and so on. So when there's effort made and accurate aim, and the mind meets exactly with the object and falls collectedly on the object, then one knows things, and then one knows what is there. So first of all, one comes to know that there is mind and matter. One sees the distinction between rupa and nama. And then one comes to see how these are related as cause and effect. And third, one comes to see how these, which are related as cause and effect, arise and then pass away. They're not permanent. They're unsatisfactory, and they have no self. They're just process. And especially if one reaches this stage where one sees the very fast arising and passing away of phenomenon, then one will see joy. One will feel joy, bhavana rati. That means delight in this work of developing the mind. If one reaches this stage, then, so one, just consider how you will feel if you reach this stage. One's mind will become more and more peaceful, and the mind and body will feel light and agile, and the noting will go very smoothly. There won't be any hitches involved. Everything one will be able to note everything easily. One has skill in observation, and one's knowledge is quick. And at that point, Uzukata, the very straightforward mind, the honest mind, arises, and one is able to admit the things which one has done wrong. So this quality arises, and these qualities are called sobhana. Sobhana means they make the stream of one's life beautiful. They decorate one's life. So if these factors arise, then one's life becomes beautiful. Meditation practice is to make our life beautiful without using any makeup. Why is it that our life becomes beautiful at this time? It's because all these factors are grouped together at once. At this time, one has heard fully about the virtues of the Dhamma, but one understands them practically. One understands them and has this trusting faith, Okapana Saddha. This has arisen. And this is what we have developed. This is our own. This is what we possess. This faith can rule. And so if others come to us and say things, saying, for example, meditation is worthless, they come and try to shake your faith, one won't accept these things because the faith has become a ruling faculty. And because it is strong, it's become powerful. It doesn't shake in the face of what doesn't have faith. And this is our own. Viriya also has good momentum. It has become pagaha viriya, the effort which doesn't stagnate, doesn't drop down, but always increases. And because of the momentum of viriya, then unwholesomeness, akusala, has no chance to arise. That means that kusala is occurring one moment after another. And this is how viriya becomes a ruling faculty. This is the ruling faculty of viriya, viryendriya. And one feels courageous. one is courageous and advances in one's practice. Because one has overcome discomfort, uncomfortable feelings, Vedana, one is brave enough to face Vedana and even challenges pain to come and get it. So one is courageous. And following on Viriya, the ruling faculties of Sati, Samadhi, and Panya become very special. At this time, Piti Sambojjhanga leads to Piti Sambojjhanga and then to Passaddhi Sambojjhanga and Samadhi Sambojjhanga. These occur in a special way. At this time, the noting is continuous, happening one after another. And if one misses the arising object, then even subtle kilesas may enter. So one feels shame and fear that this may happen. One feels, one detests and fears the kilesas coming into the mind. Thus one takes even more care to observe the arising object, and one's observation becomes more continuous than before, more and more connected. So one's observation becomes more and more powerful, and one is better and better able to control oneself. This is truly the science of government. This is how to govern oneself. And when one has shame and fear regarding unwholesomeness, one doesn't want to harm oneself, and thus one refrains from committing misdeeds. Or one has sympathy, one understands how it feels to be harmed, and so one, out of a feeling for other people, one refrains from harming others. Both of these qualities are causes for controlling oneself, and this control of oneself becomes better and better. These qualities of shame and fear and the ability to feel what others feel become better and better. So this is what makes one a true human being, with who is able to keep their mind humane and developing true knowledge. So this is very, very necessary. And now one has established this, and one simply has to work to make these qualities firm. And Sayadaw will continue to speak about how this is done tomorrow. That's all for today. Sadhu.